All right. I believe we're live.
All right, come on.
Is Instagram going to go live? That's the question. I'm not sure. What the heck? All right. We're going to do without Instagram. Okay.
That's
Cool.
all right. I'll see it eventually.
Yeah, we'll do it. All right, brother. Well, thanks for joining me for the Just Grow podcast. We've been running this for like 6 years and we took a little gap and now we're coming back and we got a whole new setup and wanted to have a conversation, talk about vision, talk about faith, talk about business. We've done some really cool things in the insurance space. So wanted to get your mindset behind it, running teams, like all the things. So Justin Herman, welcome to the show.
Let's do it. Thank you, man. It's an honor to be on here with you.
Yeah, man. We even got to hang out a little bit in person this past weekend, sweat a little bit, suffer a little bit, share some goals with a bunch of other really cool guys. So yeah, man, why don't you just kick us off, share your story a little bit, like what got you into entrepreneurship, what's been your walk with faith been like, what's your let's tie in vision throughout it and we'll just keep flowing the conversation.
Yeah, and that was a cool group you brought together on Saturday too. You're definitely a connector. So honor to you for that. Like that's a gifting. And yeah, being here with you, I can go into like the whole story. I can kind of maybe start with like my upbringing.
Yeah, go for it. Whatever you want to share, man.
I just know like when I listen to podcasts, like I'm like, how does this relate to me? Like what's in this for me? And so I would just say like, I'm a normal person. Like I grew up, I'm the oldest of four. My parent, raised by two amazing parents. And I just remember growing up as a kid, like as an athlete and thinking I was going to go to the show, we'd call it in hockey. And, I think we're all, on fire, like to achieve at whatever we're doing as kids. And, we think the real world is going to be, whatever we think it's going to be, like rainbows and sunshines. And it's just interesting, like looking back now. But I remember being a kid, wanted to be a pro hockey player. Actually was playing on the top team in the state my last 2 years in high school and made it onto the ASU hockey club team. And I played there for 1 year and then my dream ended. And it was like, it was, okay, what's next? And being at Arizona State University, I realized it wasn't going to be a business major, which is what I went to school for. I think when you go to school for a sport, you don't really take a whole lot of consideration into like what you're actually going for, which is the degree. But being in a classroom of 600 people who don't really know what they want to do, which is what oftentimes business class is, it just didn't give me the direction to know that once I graduated, like my money was going to go to good use. I was working to pay my way through school. And I remember one of my teachers at WP Carey, like kind of framing one of his messages as, you guys are in school to learn how to be managers. And when I thought about being a manager, I thought of like a department store manager, like the jobs we had in high school, right? And it's like, I just felt like I could be a department store manager if that's the route I decided to go without actually having to pay for a degree and going to school for 4 years. And so it just led me to a realization like, hey, I want to follow my dad's footsteps. That's the only thing I really knew. And so I changed my major. I did a semester at a community college and switched over to construction management. And it was an interesting year because it was the first year I was out of sports. And it was, I remember I was living with like some high school buddies who went to ASU as well. And I was kind of like missing purpose that year, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And being at community college, like, getting up on my credit so that it would actually make sense to be back at ASU pursuing the construction management degree. But I didn't mention this earlier, but my family in like 0809 had a really tough time in like the recession. My dad had a successful construction company, but I think a lot of families were impacted, especially like millennials, some Gen Z. Like we got to live that some of us, it was like the .com, and then it was also the recession. So I think we learned a lot through those times. And one thing I learned was that, you know, when I was building my family, I wanted to really be in like a recession proof type of industry. When my dad did build back, he built it less on like new build homes, and he built it um, on like handyman, because it's more scalable and there's always a need for it.
Mm.
And so I bring it back to there, because being in construction school now, I'm thinking about like the tough times my family had in like 08, 09, 2010. And I'm like, going to school for this degree that I know I probably need to have something else on the side too, because if I'm going to have like an income that's like going to be bulletproof, like you got to have your hands in multiple pots, right? Or while you're learning how to well, I guess not even learning how to do something, like just in general, because you just it's not necessarily as stable as some other industries could be. So fast forward, graduated, got the degree, was coming out of school. It was 2016 December. I graduated after half a victory lap. I was blessed to meet my now wife. We've been together 10 years. And I remember coming out of school and really having a goal of making six figures my first year out of school. And it was almost like a game. It's like, all right, now it's finally the real world. And it's like, this is the moment we've been waiting for. All right, I got freedom. I don't have to go to class today. And I got that corporate job. It was actually building data centers and hospitals. That was the company I was working for. That was their niche. And I was trying to figure out how to learn like the technology piece of construction, because I figured, hey, if I could get this, I could bring this back to, a smaller company and maybe have a main leadership position with them, or have my own construction company. This is like how I was thinking. It's kind of like Grant Cardone. Like he talks about, if you're going to work at McDonald's, like work at McDonald's to learn how to franchise and make the cheeseburger. Don't work at McDonald's just to pay your bills and like stay making the cheeseburger always.
Yep.
And so I'm just like, I'm like, how can I make this all work? I'm like trying to learn stocks and stuff, because I'm like, okay, I'm going to make more money than I was making when I was in school. I basically worked pretty much full time while I was in school too. And I'm like, I'm making more money. I can, learn investing, option trading. What's that? Okay, let's read this book. Let's listen to this mentor. And I just remember before, like everything happened really fast when I got out of school. It was like, imagine like the week before everything like takes flight, like you're about to start your job, you gotta, the girlfriend you've been with for, 8 months, and like you're excited to like move into this next chapter. And it was just crazy how God had a different plan. So first part of this weekend before I go back to school, girlfriend breaks up with me. I'm like, okay, great. There's a happy ending. We did get back together. But I'm like, okay, girlfriend breaks up with me. Job calls, and they postponed my training 2 weeks because they were waiting for a guy with a visa to come in from another country. Like his visa wasn't approved, so they postponed my training. And my buddy who was teaching me options, he lost like $6,000. This was all in like 24 hours. Like I got all this news, maybe 48 hours.
Yeah.
And so I did kind of like what any young man would do. Went out to the bars with my friends that night. And a buddy woke up on my couch the next morning that I reconnected with, and he's just like, hey, I got to tell you about like this insurance thing. And I'm like, all right, well, here it goes. Let's hear it. And he's just like, dude, this company, they give you leads, they give you mentorship, and there's guys that like make really good money. And you make about, at that time, it was like, I think it was like 600 a person that you enrolled, just on average. And it gets your mind doing like the math again. I'm like, well, like, so you're saying I don't have to put anything down. They're going to teach me something I can make money. And I'm already thinking like I need something on the side. Like maybe it's valeting cars, maybe it's serving tables. Serving tables did well for me in college. I'm like, okay, let's hear it. Like, how do I get an interview? And so
Mhm.
I was in an interview like within inside of like 4 hours of having this conversation, like pulling myself together. We'd just been out that night, like showing up to the office,
Yeah.
and I just like heard him out. And the gentleman I sat across the table from, he was making what I was making. Uh, I mean, very humble. I didn't know this until the end, but it turned out he was like, I just had a realization by the end of it. Like he was making what I was making a year a week,
Damn.
basically.
A
Um,
week.
he was like 15 years older. Well, yeah, he was 15 years older than me at that time. So he had kind of like gone through like his testing phases of his 20s and his 30s. But it just seemed like he'd played his cards right. Like he had the marriage, he had the family.
Mm.
People spoke so highly of him. He had the finances. Like he was helping people with his work. And so it was just like a picture of possibility for me that I hadn't really seen before. And he's like, it's a stable industry. The company grows, like recessions, depressions, they've been around since 1900. And I was just like doing my Justin math. I'm like, well, I can't not do this because I know it's going to happen with this, with who's doing
Mhm.
it.
Mhm.
Just like, it's just too good to not work from what I was hearing. I knew it was going to take work. That didn't scare me. It's like if you're, my mom's still working. Like if my mom's still working, like I need to be out working my mom at least, you know, that mentality.
Yeah.
My dad's still working. So, yeah, I get home, I study for my test. I read everything, took my test that Friday, didn't pass my first time, started the job. That next, I think it was it was pretty shortly after that. And I think it was like the next week. And I just, my brain was going. I was listening to Grant Cardone on the way to the job site. Like, I
Mm.
really enjoyed the construction process. I was getting good at it. In college, I was also like a superintendent and I worked to a project manager. And my stepdad actually was mentoring me in construction during my internships. So it's kind of scaring me that I was getting like good at it too,
Mm.
because like just the whole like trajectory of getting good at that scared me in a weird way.
Mm.
And yeah, was working that job, and I took another. So basically, if you fast forward like 3 weeks from there, me and my now wife, we reconnected. It was right before Valentine's Day. She was in a sorority at ASU, and she kind of hit me with like an ultimatum of like she had a sorority date party for Valentine's Day, and it was really like either I was gonna go or like it was gonna be with someone else. I'm like, yeah, I'll be there. It was the night before my next test, though. So
Oh.
uh, got off work from the construction thing. I broke the news to her over that week that now I had two jobs. I was in insurance and I was in construction, and I
Mm.
had a test the next morning. So went to that date party, tested the next day. Maybe I'm giving too much information, but
All
uh,
good, man. Keep it rolling.
like this is like the fun memories of like hopefully this gives people permission to like just take it all on, you know what I mean? I didn't have it all figured out. I failed my test the next day. I didn't pass, so then I had to reschedule a test for another Saturday because it was in person. So now we're like a month into trying to do insurance, and then we were like 2 months into trying to do insurance, and I still hadn't even hit the starting line. And I'm working in construction, and my buddy made 12 grand his third month, and that
Damn.
was the month that I finally passed. David Carpenter, a mutual
Yep.
friend,
Yeah,
and
he's been on the podcast.
yeah. So, and I think that competitive spirit takes over when it's like a friend that you see be successful. Like if they can do it, I can do it. And it was that extra belief that I needed to burn the boat. So that next month, I went all in on insurance. I left on good terms with the construction company. I gave them as much notice as I could, like 3 weeks to transition over the job. It's tough to just like leave a hospital that you're overseeing with pre-construction. We
Yeah.
got off the ground. I finished procurement. They were about to put me in another one. My heart just wasn't in it. I'm like, I just got to have an honest conversation with you. You guys, I appreciate everything you've done, but like, I got to pursue this or it's going to be like that deathbed thing where
Yeah.
you're telling your grandkids like all the things that you could have done versus like the things that you did. And I want to be able to look back at the end of my life on like actually like trying the things and doing them and like overcoming, right? Not
Yeah.
like, I wish I would have done these things. So it was kind of like that type of a mindset. Went all in on insurance, and the rest is kind of history. Like I was figuring out my first couple months. I think I was like struggling to make like $5,000 my first 2 months. And then, but the mindset was always like, have you read Darren Hardy's Compound Effect?
I have not.
Really good book. So Darren Hardy's Compound Effect, he talks about like compound interest. But being in insurance, the vision was never to just build the cheeseburger. Like it was to build cash flowing assets, like build a business that could be passed down generationally. And so like my first 2 months, like I obsessed over learning sales and like getting the process down, getting in front of people, like working harder than the others, because I knew if I did that and I followed the process to a T, it was going to work. And so that led me to my third month. I made what David made. I made $12,000 on personal sales my third month.
Let's go.
It was like in person, seeing people at their house. I think I did 2 road trips that month. I spent 10 days in Tucson seeing people. They gave me leads there. I spent 10 days. I don't remember the other spot. Maybe it was like Bullhead, Arizona or something. But like on the road, away from my girlfriend. But we've always kind of had the mindset of what we wanted long term. She came from like her parents split when she was young. My parents like in college, like we kind of had a bonding over like we want like unity. We want like our family like long term. We know what that picture wanted. Like we've always like dreamed together. I think that's something that's really helped us like get to this 10-year mark, being married for over 2 years now. Like, yeah, thank you. And it's a decision to not live by default, but like be in create mode, right? Like live life by design. And so even when I was like on the road, I'm working to become a top performer in the office, like she understood. And then we took a trip after that month. Once we made money, you can take a better trip. So made $12,000. Took guys under my wing after that. I trained up my first person I helped get going that month. And if I'm being honest, like he wasn't coachable. He didn't listen to what I said, but like he couldn't deny that it worked because I was selling like every day. And he was like fighting the script. He's like, I don't want to say it that way. I did door to door and we just winged it. And it like in certain businesses, like service based, like with us, we serve like unions. Those were the leads I was running at that time, union workers. And so it's very much a service based pitch versus like a sales. Like if you're salesy, they cancel. If you're service based, they keep it. So all I'm doing is just saying a script, just like I was talking to guys on the job site, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm just saying a script. I'm letting them know they got to fill out a report card, lets them know that I did my job. And I'm going through like this, like really just scripted process, not even fully knowing the psychology of what I'm doing, making money. And my buddy's like not listening, trying to just sell it. And basically it was a really humbling first month for him, but his second month he got it. He learned the script and he made like $12,000 in like 10 days. He was doing better than I was at sales.
Wow.
And it was just a matter of like submitting to the process. And so it's been a journey of just like learning it, helping people get it down now. My income like grew like 100% a quarter my first year. So the first quarter I was working to make $5,000 a month. The second quarter I was making like over $12,000 a month. And then my 7th month I made over $30,000. And then that led to like a better November, December, made 6 figures my first year.
Let's go.
And then it like got really fun because it like opened up the company's belief in me to like be able to go take territory. And that's exactly what we did. So DC and I, we opened, and Michael McKiernan, we opened an office in Tempe, Arizona. And that was a ton of fun. It was a lot of investing too. Praise God, we're all virtual now. We don't have to do the in-person offices and all that or drive to people's houses. But that was a lot of fun, like being 24, like being able to go into an office and run agency meetings. 4 months after we opened that office, they gave me the opportunity to go move to Dallas, Texas. And when they give you an office, it's not like a successful office. It's like an office that needs leadership.
Yeah.
So we kind of like went into like kind of a mess. They sent me and then a guy from Washington, Nick Lawrence, to Dallas. And that's where I've been the last 7 years, like building this Dallas office. And my wife and I did distance for 8 months.
Wow.
I, you know, went through a series of like rebuilding when I was in Dallas, because you can't really like run multiple states when you're new and you're moving. Like it's kind of like an opportunity to move, but not. It's kind of like a setback, move up. That's not what we do now anymore. You can build anywhere, but at that time, that's how it was. And so I just remember like learning a lot about myself, being in a place all by myself, moving away from family,
Mm.
and like working the long hours and casting the vision.
Yeah.
And I think that's like when you're like most alive, is like when you're really trying to figure out who you are, and like seeking mentorship to figure out like how they figured out who they wanted to be.
Mm-hmm.
With the Vision Espresso, I love that process because it helps like you remind yourself of who you want to be and who you're becoming. And I was trying to like figure that stuff out. I'm trying to figure out, who is Justin? Like how do we make this goal happen? And it led me to my third quarter in Texas, doing the Andy Frisella 75 hard.
Yep.
And I'm like, things aren't quite going how I want them to go, but what does it look like when I just take all the distraction out, all the things I know I shouldn't be doing? What does it look like when I take this all out and like just run a disciplined schedule? I had about 60 days until my wife moved to Texas with me.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm like, let's just give it a go. And it's crazy what happens, like when you focus, like what you focus on grows.
Yep.
And it was crazy. Like, wasn't spending money on things I didn't need to spend money on. Like my attention, like I was dialed, I was making really good money. The guys that I was working with, like we did it as a team, some of us. And so they were having like revelation and life change through that process. We had guys come out, make more money than they ever had, like on the other side of that, in our big production month after that 90 days. And long story short, made board of directors at the end of that year. And then we went completely virtual, spoke on stage in front of like the whole company. It was really cool, about investing and like being a business owner, and like, and it was just a really cool opportunity. My wife actually just joined the business at that time. She decided that what's crazy is she was in sales scholars at ASU.
Okay.
And you'd think they'd have like great sales, like partnerships to like put people into. But when she was graduating, we were kind of like looking through the options, and I'm like, man, like if they would just like pick up our company as like one of the options, it could be so good for them. I think it was because it was all commission. Like they weren't fully like, convinced in the partnership at that time. But her and like one of the top performers, she won national sales contests and sales scholars at ASU, has the degree, like straight A student. I'm not, she was. Opposites attract. But she was working with this company, like doing custom clothier stuff and like selling suits and like helping people get tailored, and like some top performers from that school were doing that. But we ran the numbers on it, and there was no residuals. You had to get your own leads. They didn't give you leads. They gave you like a small base in training, but then that went away once you were like actually seeing people. And she was a top performer in that office early in her career. And we ran the numbers, and she'd have to do like $1 million in sales to make $100,000. And we like decided collectively, like long-term for our family, like being able to actually build a business together, being able to have residual income, like passive pay, was going to be best, like long-term. And also too, like it's less than 200,000 in sales to make $100,000 with the agency. So it's just like, I mean, maybe, I don't know. So it was like, once you ran the data, just like, it just spoke volumes as to what the right path was when we took emotion out of it. Yep. And so we've just been like on mission together now, like building a virtual life insurance company. There's been ups, there's been downs, especially like when we first switched to virtual because we were learning it. But it's gotten really good the past couple of years. we have been able to grow together as a couple versus you hear like sometimes people are kind of, you're just in different worlds, a lot of like husband wives.
Mm-hmm.
It's been really cool actually being able to like be married, be building a business together. We're not in the same meetings all day. Like we're meeting with clients, we're in different meetings, we're helping people, but you know, we complete each other in our strengths and our weaknesses. And so it's almost like a full person when you combine us both together. And it just, been a huge accelerant to the success that we've been able to have.
Dude, such an inspiring story, man.
And, you know, we, I mean, all glory to God. You can track back every single step in the journey, and I'm not hitting on all of them. Maybe I went a little bit long on even what I did go through, but you can look at each chapter of the story and you can kind of see like God's hand in it and like why you were in that season. Because like someone that just had it super easy and everything's rainbow and sunshine, like they can't lead anyone because they don't understand like what people are actually going to go through. But when you go through it, when you learn through it, when you turn your test and make it a testimony because you actually overcame, like that's when you're able to, put your hand out and say, come with me, I can help you overcome it because I went through it.
Yeah, and that's what people respect. I mean, a few of the things that stuck out to me amongst your story is one, I thought it was really cool, just that quick little anecdote about, when you're working at McDonald's, you're not focused on, I mean, yeah, you focus on your job, but like it's the bigger picture, the bigger vision of like what's to come. I remember a friend of mine runs a big sales company here in Arizona, and he's like, I'll tell you this right now, because now he's building like I think it's like a $20 million a year company, and back when he told me this, he's like, this is the best piece of advice I could ever give you, and he said, go work for an amazing company where you get to work on your skill set and then also observe how a proper company is being built. And that always just like really stuck with me. And, the way I perceive that too is also like looking bigger picture. And I feel like that was like a common thread of your story as well, was like getting like listening to good inputs. You mentioned Grant Cardone. I'm sure you've read lots of books, listened to lots of audios. We can touch on that a little bit more, but I think like feeding your mind really good stuff and then like having a longer picture vision as opposed to just like looking at the day to day. Cause even like when you got into insurance, it's interesting. I'm reflecting on when DC shared his story when he was on the podcast several years ago, very similar and same type of thing. Like he failed his first test, but he was like, I got the vision. I know where I'm going. I'm not going to stop. And I think that's the thing is like, we all know entrepreneurship is one of the biggest things is just like don't stop. Like as long as you don't stop, you'll eventually win. Like it's just kind of like science at that point.
Yeah.
But
I just need to see like possibility. Like that's sometimes like on the job site, my project manager had like a lot of kids. He was really stressed. I don't know if it was his first marriage or a second marriage, but like this was the end goal that I was going to get to because the next goal is to be in his position, right? And then with Dustin, it's like this is the end, like this is what you're working towards. So you know, I think it's important to take into consideration like what the end goal is before like you go through the work because you're going to work hard regardless if you're, you know, that type of person, right? Like whatever I do, I'm going to work hard at, but like what's going to help me, make the biggest impact, like enjoy what I do, and then also have a great outcome at the end of the day as well.
absolutely. Yeah, that's such a great reminder is like, even if you are working at McDonald's or you're building a multi-million-dollar company, like you're going to be working hard. It's just like depends on what you're optimizing for. And I always love the GPS metaphor. It's like, okay, if we're going to St. George, Utah, I don't know why that like,
Yeah.
but like then the path and if you get off path then you're still like gonna revert back to it, but if you don't know where you're going then you're just kind of driving aimlessly and you're still spending the same amount of time and money on gasoline. And
Yeah.
so where did that come from? Where, like, because you even said early on you were listening to Grant Cardone. Like, where did that come from for you to like start listening to and reading books and feeding your mind really good stuff?
I think it came partially from being like involved in like the hockey community. I think the hockey community is like a kind of an
Mm,
exclusive, like weird sport that most people don't know a whole lot about.
yeah.
But like if you're a part of it, like it's kind of a small community, but it was cool growing up playing hockey in Arizona because I don't know if my parents like intended for us to play hockey. It was like weird how we even started. Like it was literally like my mom's friend called her and said, "Hey, my son's getting into roller hockey." And my mom like took me and my brother to play it against sports at 6 years old. And we like got just like
Yeah.
old hockey gear and like just started playing roller hockey. And then it was just like a whole process of like becoming in that sport because I mean, we started there and then it was like my parents like almost didn't want us to get to the ice part because it was expensive, right? And then I got into it with my brothers, but I say that all to say like ice hockey is expensive. So you see like just kind of hang out with different friends, like pictures of what's possible through what different families have created. I mean, being in Arizona, a lot of Canadians, like all the coaches are Canadians. There's a lot of pro hockey players here
Mm.
because they don't want to be in the cold after they retire. So they come like Wayne Gretzky, we'd see around the rinks.
Oh, wow.
His son grew up playing hockey in Arizona.
Damn.
Jeremy Roenick, he'd be at like some of our practices. And the Coyotes, like actually when I was playing AAA hockey, like in those last 2 years, like our locker room was here and the Coyotes locker room was here and we shared a bathroom. So like we'd be at school and they'd be skating. They go on the road and they like leave us sticks, which is kind of cool.
Oh, cool.
So you just like, you get this picture of possibility. I remember being in 6th grade and our teacher had us like write out our life story, which was really cool. I still have it. And like, it was like, I was going to play pro hockey. My little brother was going to play pro hockey. My other brother was going to be our mascot. I forget what my sister was going to do, but it was like a life of possibility, not a life of like working at a desk for someone my whole life. And it's like, it's trying to figure out how to bring that to life though, once you get out of school. So yeah, I think if it's possible for other people, it's possible for us. And just the level that some people play at is like so out there that if you just want to live like a great life, even if you don't want to have it, like, I mean, there's people that make hundreds of billions now. I don't even think there were people making hundreds of billions when we were younger. But like, it's just crazy what, people are making happen. And I think through discipline and being in the right circles and hanging in the right crews and living life intentionally, like I think the average person can live a great life with the right vehicle.
Yeah. And it's like, gosh, it's funny. I was telling you about how we took a little bit of a break from podcasting, and then like just this conversation alone is like sparking me and getting me excited and, sparking ideas. I'm like, oh, it's just like, it's a different energy when you're having conversations around things that you're excited about. And it just reminds me that's so important. And like you being a part of this community, how important that it was to see that inspiration. I also deeply resonate with the sports aspect of it and realizing how much that plays in a factor, because I played baseball all the way through college, and realizing how that set me up to be more perseverant in times of challenges, because sports teach you a lot too. It'll humble you really quick. No matter how good you are, you're going to go through slumps, and like it forces you to go through it. And oftentimes in sports you have a goal. So I'm realizing how much that played into it, and then hearing how your teacher in 6th grade had you write your life story. That's amazing.
I think another lesson that sports teaches you too is it teaches you not to quit, because like my dad like instilled in us, like you do the job until it's done. Like if it was mopping the garage, if it was cleaning the garage, like he would come out and inspect it before we were off the hook. Like the job got done and it got done right.
Wow.
And it's the same thing with sports. Like you don't start a sports season to like not finish the season. And I think sometimes if you weren't brought up that way, like you think you have an option on the day to day to like show up or not show up. I think making the decision to not give yourself that option like actually can help you unlock your next level too. Because like when I started insurance, like I committed to 2 years. I'm like, I'm going to see this out and grow these skill sets. Like it's like, it's all in. Birds were bone. My dad told me not to quit my day job. I quit my day job. Like it was 2 years all in without a decision of like, hey, maybe when I moved to Texas, there was no option on like moving home without like making it work. So like putting yourself in a position and then like deciding like, hey, I'm going to figure out how to make it work versus like, does this thing work? Like, no, it does work. That's why you're there. But now it's making the decision to like really make it work.
Yeah, and like you said, all in and like making that decision, because I'm sure you've probably heard of this. We were actually talking about it with some of the people this weekend. Like, what is one of the guys, younger guys, was asking, like, what does it mean to decide? I was like, that's a really good question. But I recall, and one of the guys talked about it. It was Tony Robbins talks about it a lot. Is like it's like a Latin word. I don't know the exact translation, but it's something around like cut off any other decision or any other option. That's a true decision where you've cut off everything except for one and you make a commitment. And so that's even where like a lot of the things came with Envision Espresso, like the story about the guy sitting on the fence, the devil comes up to him asking which side, heaven or hell. And then the guy's like, oh, I'm not sure. Devil leaves, comes back. And then he's still like, oh, I don't know. And he's like, devil's like, cool, come with me. And the guy's like, what do you mean? Like, I told you I haven't made a decision yet. He's like, yeah, exactly. The fence is mine. And I heard that story and it just like gave me a completely different perspective on, a lot of times, like all we got to do is just make a decision, make a commitment on the direction that we're going to go. And like you said, go all in and like say, we're going to see this through. And then all of a sudden, like things just start opening up. There's another, have you ever heard of the hero's journey?
Is that by Darren Hardy? I think he has a variation. What is the hero's journey
Yeah.
you're referring to?
Well, the hero's journey is essentially like what every movie's like. There's an
Oh,
arc
okay.
story, and so I don't know it completely in depth, but one of the aspects is that it requires there's a call for the main character to go and like pursue the big mission, and so there's resistance within that main character most of the times. Like I don't want to, I feel the call, but I don't want to, and then they finally like, all right, I'll do it. And then finally, like he doesn't know what's going to happen, but he takes that first step like into the unknown. And then all of a sudden, that's when the mentor shows up. That's when the resources show up. So, like, literally nothing can happen until you take that step and decide and just like choose that you're going in that direction, because otherwise, we're just like keeping things foggy and anything is open. And then I think people get stuck in the I don't know season and phase where they just like say I don't know because they don't want to make a decision. They know the right decision, but they just don't make it, and because of that, it like things continue to just be more and more challenging.
Yeah. I went through the Bible in a year this past year, and it was interesting because when I was like going through it, you realize like most of the Bible, it's all war stories. It's like there's the characters in the Bible, and it's really a lineage of a family, and it's all like people like Moses not knowing what to do, and then like God showed up, right? But you're like average, I don't know what to do. God showed up. Moses got lost in the desert for, and then ended up dying and never made it to the promised land, right? And then his son Joshua came in, like where his dad was too scared to go get done. When after he passed, Joshua came in, and that's where the be strong and courageous, like do nothing else comes in, which is like what I live by my life by, like faith over fear, like
Yeah.
Death and life are in the power of the tongue, right? And so Joshua, like after his dad passed, he went to Jericho, and he didn't know how the heck they were going to take Jericho, but they ended up walking around for 7 days. And on the 7th day, the walls fell and like they took the town. So it's like, you don't know how it's going to happen, but like if God put a dream in your heart, right, he has a great plan for your life. And so you're here for a reason, but are you going to be Moses, like stuck in the desert and not go on to see the promised land? Or are you like going to be strong and courageous and go take territory and know that God is with you, and like he's going to align the right people? And if you're doing things and like, I mean, I would say like from like a biblical standpoint, right? Like God's way. I mean, that's going to give you more strength to know that it's going to happen, right? But I mean, if you're just living with like the right intentions, like you're not going out and partying every night, right? Like you're not, like self-deprecating. Like if you're just living with the right intentions and you're on a mission, like I think it's a belief that it's going to happen. Like it's inevitable, it's going to happen as long as you have the right alignments, like the right people in your corner. There's actually like proven track record to success with what you're doing.
Yeah. I would be curious, even kind of diving back into the business stuff. Two things I would love to hear you share a little bit about is one, like what's the vision moving forward? Obviously, I have an understanding of what the vision is moving forward, but I think it'd be cool for you to share with everyone else. And then I'd also love to chime in a little bit about what you've learned in terms of building teams and leadership and keeping people engaged and motivated and excited to push past those challenges that they go through as well. Because when you have a powerful team together, it's helping everybody. But how do you help people like continue to open up and thrive and persist in the face of challenges?
Yeah, great question. And the vision moving forward, I've always had like this $100 million like business vision. I think you can make a lot of money doing a lot of different things, but like I don't know why like 100 million like really sticks in my brain and like brings me excitement. Like goals are about creating energy, right?
Mm.
And I just know like Nick Bear, I heard like in the past couple of years when I was doing my ultra marathons, like he was like a mentor, and I'm like, this dude's building like $100 million supplement company. Like that's really cool.
Mm.
There's a guy at our church that he was doing 200 million a year and just like moving dirt.
Oh my God.
Like he's got a dirt business. It's like there's people like building these businesses like all around us, but like I think 100 million with like life insurance, like that really excites me. So it's like figuring that out, help, and just thinking about the transformation that's going to happen for so many people, because it's a people business, right? It's not like it's going to take a lot of people becoming really successful for that to happen, and seeing the transformation in their families, their lives, like that gives me and my wife a ton of energy.
Mm.
And I think along that journey, that kind of brings in the second part of your question on like, how do you lead people? Was that what it was?
Yeah, just building, like, because I've built a lot of community in the past, but I'm just feeling this call to like be even stronger with it moving forward and really leading and helping people grow. So would just be curious if what's alive for you and what have you picked up over the years that have been really beneficial for you building community, building teams, leading people?
I think a big part of it is how you lead yourself, and then like being present and actually like hearing people
Mm.
and what they say. Because like being an achiever, like I want to go like achieve and like just make it happen and like do it. But there's a piece of that where you got to kind of like really be hearing what people are saying, kind of like with the client in a meeting. Like sales is a transfer of emotion, but you got to
Mm.
understand like what's going to help, like what's going to emotionally move this person through the process to be able to help, you know, make the agreement, right? So I think in leadership, a big piece of that is like starting with the end in mind, right?
Mm.
With like vision espresso, like it's what do you want? Because once you know what you want, then you can kind of work back the details and the data to prove to yourself that you can absolutely do it.
Mm.
Because like certainty is so powerful, and like not having doubt, like having certainty. So like data helps give you certainty. Like if I do this, this, and this will happen.
Mm.
So figuring out what someone wants, I think that's the first piece of it. Figuring out what you want, like that's the first thing. And then figuring out who you're teamed up with, like if there's alignment and like what they want, and if you can actually help them. And then if you can, they're committed to what it's actually going to take to get to that end result. Then it becomes fun, because now you're just like in the process together, like working to figure it out, right? And
Mm-hmm.
kind of being family, like going through the process, making it happen, bobbing and weaving. Like I want to be at a table where people are talking about what they've overcome, not gossiping about other people, you
Yeah.
know? And I
Yes.
think you find that through business, like relationships, when people do like put themselves out there and they work to really like level everything up.
Yeah. Amazing. It's funny how you like come back to like keep the end in mind, be intentional, know the vision, know where we're going, because then you know how to optimize from there. And I really like what you say about like data gives you confidence. It's been very eye opening, not just reconfirming and validating on how important it is to be data driven in business. I think a lot of times, I know myself included, is that if you're not focused on like the specific KPIs that are moving the business and you're just kind of going like, how do I feel today? Oh, things are on or things are off just based on your feelings. But if you look at it and be like, hey, are we actually on pace? Is it like, are we hitting our amount of calls that we're having? Are we hitting the amount of clients or whatever the KPIs are? That brings a lot of confidence and conviction in what we're doing as opposed to just like always based on feelings. With that being said, like I kind of have approach, I like to call it the woo and the do. I think it's like having the internal alignment, having the vision, and then looking at the data driven decisions. Or there's a lot of different ways on how to talk about that, but it's like having both of them, not just one, like not just praying and meditating all day long, and also not just being data driven, but where you can combine those both. That's when you're at a really powerful
Yeah.
place.
I remember like my mentor when I was starting, he was like, you got to be doing like 12 sits or like 4 sales. And like, I remember like coming in one week and I didn't quite have the performance factor.
Mm,
And him like asking me about what I did every single day. He's like, okay, well, Monday, walk me through Monday. Like,
mm,
well, this was what I did. And then he's like, okay, walk me through your Tuesday. I'm like, well, this is what I did. And it
yeah,
just really like opened up my brain as to like all these gaps in my schedule that I could have been way more efficient in. And I think that's part of the process is like if the systems and processes are good, then it's like figuring out like what wasn't optimized in that person's day around those systems and processes to have got the result. And then the other piece is the like the people part of the business because we're human beings, right?
yep,
So like we got to like focus on helping people feel like reminding them of where they're going, but then also, you know, helping them through whatever that limiting belief that's keeping them where they're at is.
yeah. And I mean, I'm a huge component of that because like, and that's a whole deeper conversation of like patterns we grew up with, things that we saw that didn't serve us and didn't help us, and like there's a lot of those type of things. So being more aware, I did. There's here. I'll share this too. This was pretty insightful. Would be curious on your take on any of this. But what I've been doing recently is, you know, I'm realizing how much like organization of the mind is so important to me because an organized mind typically translates into an organized life and organized business. And on the flip is like a messy mind and a messy business life. Like that's why when I learned, I had a mentor that told me like clean your living quarters. I used to be very messy for whatever reason. I don't even know where that came from. But once he was like, you want to come in, like imagine your space and imagine like a millionaire comes in or a billionaire, whoever, this was several years ago. But it's like, you want to ask yourself if that person came into your living quarters, would they be like, I want to invest in this person or not? And it just like opened up my mind to be like, oh, how important it is to be like, even if you're not where you want to be, it's like treat yourself and your life and your surroundings and organize it. So all that to be said is I've put together this Notion doc that like organizes everything. It takes the big picture vision. And this is such a great compliment to the Vision Espresso because it takes the big picture vision that we've done with Vision Espresso, and then we start distilling it and breaking it down into 12-week goals. And then there's initiatives underneath those goals. And then there's to
Wow.
do actions. And then we have habits that we track every day and it gives you a score. But, and that's all really cool. But the reason I'm bringing this up is
I'd love to
because,
check that out. That sounds great.
yeah, happy to share that with you. But there's an aspect in there too where you have your daily reflection, weekly reflection, and your monthly reflection. And so at the end of every day, I love this practice. This is, I learned it, like I heard someone talk about how it's a military thing, but it's called an after action review. And so basically what you do is you just ask like what went well in this situation, whatever it was, and what can be improved. And so the reason that that's important is because it starts training your mind to be like looking for good things. Because I know for me personally, like if I don't do something like this, I can just naturally start getting into like a much more negative mindset. Like this didn't go well. I could have done this better. So it reminds me to like focus on the good. Like, oh, I did this well. I did this well. Okay, I can improve on this. But anyways, the reason I'm telling you all this is because I did that like all last week. And then what I did from there is I copied all my daily reflections. I put them into AI and I started asking, I was like, hey, given the fact that AI is ultimately a pattern recognizer, tell me what patterns you're recognizing in me as you're looking at my daily reflections. And so basically what it told me is that it was showing me like where my patterns fall off. And it was saying that fatigue is the gateway to my old patterns, like a gateway drug to my old patterns. So when I'm not taking care of myself, when I'm not sleeping as good, when I'm not getting as good energy, when I'm not fueling myself, taking care of my body, that's when I start reverting into old patterns. But it's really interesting because like those are the type of things that can really pull you back into old patterns that are not serving you. But that's why it's so important to be very aware and take time and space to like look at your life and also pray and meditate and like really takes touch place. But yeah, anyways, I figured I'd just share that real quickly because that was powerful.
No, I love it. And when we were at that networking event, like we were talking about how you can utilize AI to like be more proficient in like your day. And so I love hearing about the different AI and how you're using it to like optimize, because here in, 2026, like it is the future right now. So, I mean, even in our business, like what used to take 2 years to learn, people are learning inside of 6 months now. It's just like the timeline is just way faster. So these are really cool tools. I'd love to check those out and optimize more. Like show me your schedule, show your future, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you show where you put your time is where your future is going to continue to develop. But anyways, man, like this has been an awesome conversation. Thanks for coming on and just
Yeah, thanks.
chopping up this. Like I said, this has been invigorating. So thank you for your time and sharing your story. And man, well, maybe we'll have to have you back for a part two.
Let's do it. Appreciate the time and the conversation.
Yeah. Any last things that you want to share with the audience, or any big takeaways that you got from this conversation, or even any asks that you may have?
Yeah, I would tell everybody to check out Vision Espresso. I did mine yesterday. And it was a really cool experience hearing it back today when we went through it. And you get to tune it to your music, and it's just like a great way to like start your day in intention. And what I would kind of leave everybody with is I would just say, make it happen or let it be. Like figure out something that excites you, figure out something that you can, create a great life with. It's not all about business, right? You got faith, family, fitness, finances. Like if you got one of those areas out of whack, it takes everything else down too. So ideally, like you're working to grow in those areas, but yeah, like figure out what you want and make it happen. Like you can do it. It's if other people can do it, you can do it. And if it's not, if you put in your time on your timeline and you got to like let it be, but just take territory. That's what this year is all about.
Amen to that. Well, I appreciate you, brother. Where can people find you? And if they're interested in the life insurance space, where would you want them to go?
Yeah, let's connect. Justin Herman _ on social media, Herman with 2 N's. Is a great place for us to connect. And then my agency, it's aoplatinum.com. And there's a link in my Instagram deal, but that's a great way to like learn more about what the agency has to offer.
Cool. And what type of people are you looking for specifically?
I'm looking for people that really want to like level up. So I'm looking for business partners, people that want to scale a business, create cash flow, people that have like industry influence. I'm looking to partner with business owners. If you have a business and it's not cash flowing, like you want to, a lot of business has a lot of overhead, and we're really blessed in our space to not have that extra overhead. So there's a lot of you know, I can break down all those details, but that's really what I'm looking for is like business partnerships, guys that want to take territory and working to find alignment.
Cool. Well, yeah, go check them out. They're doing some really cool things. Solid leader. So if you want someone to help you navigate the world of life, business, faith, fitness, all the good stuff, definitely recommend you head over his way. So
let's go and let's just connect. If I can help you in any way, I'm here to help. But yeah, from a business ask, that would be the business part. But
cool, man.
Love the conversation, brother. It's been great spending time with you, and take territory.
Awesome, man. Well, everyone, thanks for watching. Appreciate y'all. If you want to go learn more about Vision Espresso, head over to visionespresso.co. You can start with our vision quiz, understand how clear you are not. It'll give you a score. And then from there, you can take our future self assessment. And that's kind of the entry to our world, as well as our Vision Espresso school community. So thanks for everyone for listening and watching, and we'll see you on the next one.
Let's go.